tell me something. You're also, apart from being first a woman and then a journalist, of course, I want, because my newsroom is buzzing today. They were all giving each other high fives and everything. But I think all of us also have to hold our horses. It's a victory, but it will take some time. How do you look at it, Roja? Your first reactions to the passing of the Women's Reservation Bill?
I'm ecstatic. I'm extremely happy. And this is something that should have happened almost 30 years back because when Deve Gowda introduced 33% reservation for women in the local bodies, that is the Bangalore Mahanagara Palike, we were one of the first reporters to cover the outcome of it. So there were issues like men, doing the women's work, the women just having the name and not taking the seat. I think, Sudha, all these things are okay because any level of marginalization, like the one women have gone through for so many years, is going to have an impact like this. But a bill like this is extremely important because, let's say, in a place like Bangalore, for the last 66 years, only 6 women have been elected as MLAs, which is such a sad state of affairs. And over 2 decades of reporting has taught me that women as a lobby group are not very strong because of lack of financial backing. So a reservation of this caliber, even if it is only for 15 years, will make a huge difference to women leaders who cannot otherwise come up because politics is such a dirty game.
Right. Kalyani ji, welcome to our show. It's such a privilege to have you, ma'am. I want to ask you, of course, your reaction on the women's reservation bill, but more than that, we've all witnessed how the, parties like the RLD and other parties, even Nitish, one remembers very, very clearly, protesting and saying that this should not go through. And of course, Sharad Yadav, that Parkati statement is something which will forever remain etched in my mind, saying that only so-called women who have haircuts and modern hairstyles will come. I want to ask you something. More than patriarchy, Kalyani ma'am, do you think this was more out of paranoia from the, from at least from the male bastion, because they thought they would lose 1/3 of the seats, ma'am?
You have just said it. I would say the bill has been passed all these years, maybe more than 3 decades, I would say. It's because of the male chauvinism. And even now, though bill is introduced, I remember last time when Sonia Gandhi got the bill passed in Rajya Sabha, everybody expected that she would somehow push it through in the Lok Sabha also, but it didn't happen. Why? Because every party has got people who are opposed to it. There is a divided opinion in all the parties, even except, of course, left parties, CPI and CPM. Most of the other parties were against it. So that is why you see, if these parliamentarians wanted the bill to be passed, Congress and BJP together had enough number. They could have passed it any time. Even now, if they want to, they could do it together. There is no problem about that. But then again, because of the division, even in BJP, I am not saying only Congress, every party has got a division, and because of that, it's hanging on like this. And of course, it's very good, welcome that it has been introduced. But let's see where it goes. Even before it started, now they are saying it is my bill, it is your bill. So that kind of, apportioning credit is going on. And everything is towards 2024 elections and also
Absolutely.
5 assembly elections. So women, of course, the political parties have been giving some soft to the women, either 2,000 rupees every month for women. Now Sonia Gandhi has announced in Hyderabad yesterday, and then in Tamil Nadu also they had given 1,000 rupees. Kejriwal has given 1,000 rupees for women. So this kind of freebie culture is going on, and then chulas, and then you have the gas. So parties are giving something like this. But ultimately, when it comes to getting the bill passed, I think they are dragging their feet, and I only hope that they will be able to do it this
All
time,
right.
and the Nari Shakti will certainly show its
Right.
strength.
Kasturi Shankar, you're somebody who's always spoken about how the women need to be dovetailed, not because as a discounted thing, as a consolation prize, but because it's really imperative. Now, I want to bring your notice to the 73rd Amendment Act, that is the Panchayati elections. If you look there, and I'm only going to quote the Tamil Nadu cases, where the women bosses, of panchayats, can't move a finger because they are still kind of controlled by the men in their family. So something very, very basic needs to change. Kasturi Shankar, would you agree?
Yes, I think you said it very succinctly. Women, even though they do have a functional reservation in place for local governing bodies, in Tamil Nadu at least, it's rampant. Everybody knows that the woman is just a placeholder for the man in the family. Usually her husband, sometimes a brother or a father, but usually the husband. So wherever there is a reserved seat, the most powerful politician just props up his panchayat leader, props up his wife, and that's how it's been. And even in ground reality in Tamil Nadu is that people don't even interact with the actual woman panchayat head. They just go ahead and business as usual with the surrogate, with the de facto leader. So yes, you're very right. But here's what I have to say about this in the national scene. I welcome, first of all, number one, great day, auspicious day to start off on a new note. And they say ladies first. So it has been ladies first tabled in the Lok Sabha and passed. So many congratulations to this government, because everybody talked. Everybody talked from 1989, but this is the government that has walked the talk. At the end of the day, they are the ones who are going to be in the history books as the people who got it passed. I mean, I have no doubt that it will pass in the Rajya Sabha as well, because this is just a question of numbers now. So, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, very, very happy for women. And I'll tell you why. When there is a 1/3 reserved quota for women, it becomes a significant, visible part of the government. So this is going to have a trickle-down effect. At the panchayat level, you have to have a trickle-up effect to feel the power being shifted, the power shift. But if it is from the parliamentary level, from an MP's level, you're going to have a trickle-down effect. You're going to see that women are rulers, women are powerful, women are policy makers, and women call the shots right from the government at the center. So this is going to have a trickle down effect, and we are going to have an election. I think it's going to be 2029 when they are actually going to see this in action. We are going to have women campaigning for themselves, campaigning for other women. And the 5 years preceding that, we are going to see a paradigm shift in the way politics is played, if you will, because everybody is going to be wooing the best women for their parties. So it's wonderful. It's time to celebrate. Bring out the champagne glasses.
How nice. Rajeshwari Kalyanam, are you with us? Hi, can you hear me? All right, I think we are having some problems with Rajeshwari's connection. Not on this day, Rajeshwari. It's a day for us. Come on, let me speak with you. Roja, let me come to you. Roja, you know, Kasturi Shankar put it very well, and she says, you know, that there'll come a time when women will be campaigning for women. But I want to ask you this, you know, and I'm only taking the 73rd Amendment Act, you know, as which is the panchayat elections, as a reference point, as it were, you know. Now, these reserved seats rotate within constituencies, you know. So, a lot of people, they feel that, you know, there could be, because they are rotating, that there could be reluctance on part of the constituents to say, so why should I work on this, because it's going to go out of my hand. Do you fear that something like that may happen? And also because the men will be decision makers, and they may just tell you that, you know, why do you want to work on this, Roja, because this is a rotating constituency.
No, it's a good question. See, that will happen. But, you know, as long as, see, this is an initial phase. It's not like women have always been in politics in large numbers. This is a beginning. See, like how VP Singh introduced the Mandal Commission. These are the teething problems that we have to go through. So even if a seat is reserved for a woman, you can be very sure that it is her husband or brother or father who's going to help her to win it. Because for her to win it by herself will be very few cases. Okay, so in that sense, it is going to be like a scarecrow exercise for a long time. But I'm saying after watching how it was in the BBMP in Karnataka in late 90s, it is still worth an effort, okay? And if some people are saying that it's going to affect development, they are not going to let it go because they are going to let the women in their family stand.
That's
So
where,
that is not,
yeah, yeah, Roja,
not a
you've
very valid
nailed it.
point.
Yeah, you've nailed it. But Kalyani ma'am, if it's going to be like they say that maybe the seat will be warmed up by a woman for a man to take over, husband, father, whoever, son, whatever, uncle. But in this case also in the reserve category, because it is rotational, Kalyani ma'am, isn't it that that I can keep it warm for, let's say, my sister or my sister-in-law? So some kind of a jiggery pokery also comes into this, isn't it?
I am not fully in agreement with what you say because the man himself doesn't want the seat to be reserved. That was one of the main reasons why the members were not willing to support the bill. So when once that question is solved, then only comes the woman keeping the seat warm for the husband or the brother or whatever it is. And the second thing is that the people may not have vote only, they may vote for the woman, may not vote for the man, or they may not vote for the woman, but they might vote for the man. It's all going according to the popularity of the candidate also. So I have a feeling that this rotation is one big thing. And then after the delimitation, this 2029 is going to be the first time you will see 33% women reservation. It's quite a long, even if it is passed tomorrow, I think it's going to take some time to see so many women coming in parliament.
Right. Kasturi, tell me something. I was reading today and there was lots of academicians who wrote about it and said that this should have happened automatically. India does very badly when it comes to women being represented. I mean, you take the case of Goa, several states, I mean, Karnataka, whether it's Tamil Nadu, women have been represented very, very poorly. They said it should have come on the basis of merit. And we had to really fight for reservation because this started sometime, I think, during independence, when a lot of women got up and said, we want our share, because they had a major share during the national movement as well. Kasturi, don't you think it's quite a shame, because on several other fronts, we have all fought, we've all struggled, whether it's your area of being an actor that you are, or a journalist. I mean, it's been a very long haul for all of us to kind of get to even keel. So don't you think that that's also today also marks a kind of reflection of the way women are treated in this country, where we are of course revered as Devi and all that, Kuladevam, whatever?
First off, I wanted to, I'm going to come to your question, but first off, I wanted to quickly add to what Roja and Kalyani ma'am were saying about the rotation of seats and how that could be a deterrent to loyalty towards one's constituency. I think we are failing to consider the possibility that a woman MP, a woman lawmaker, could do so well in her reserved seat that come next election, she could continue contesting in the same seat. There's nothing stopping you from contesting in an open seat. You don't have to be relegated only to the reserved seat. So I think that is a very positive outcome, a possibility that we should consider, and I'm pretty confident that will happen in multiple cases as well. Now, coming to your question of, did we have to have reservation to finally be able to play catch up? I actually think the other way. Given women's track records in places where they just got the door open, where traditionally opportunities were denied to them, but then once the opportunities were thrown open to them, no reservation, no extra priority, just when opportunities were thrown open to them, women proved in academics, in corporate spheres, in police, military, everywhere, wherever they could prove on merit, they have proved much more, that they've proved that they can do much better than men in many fields, so much so that in academics today, except for STEM, everywhere else, it's the female that is deadlier than the, if you will. So I think it would have come, it would have evolved. I think it would have come to that, but politics is a different beast, and this is just pushing it a little further and earlier than it would have happened in natural evolution.
Right.
I think that's what it is. It's just giving it a little nudge that you're going to see the sea change in 2029. I mean, it's not going to be right away. It's in 2029. So let's not count all our chickens before they hatch. We'll count a few. We'll celebrate a little bit now, but the real test, I think, is 2029.
All right. Rajeshwari Kalyanam, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, hi, I'm so sorry.
Hi.
Technical problem.
You made us wait, much like the Women's Reservation Bill, I say.
It seems so.
Yeah. So tell me your first reaction to this, considering that you're a senior journalist. We all waited for this for a long time. Do you think that this is truly a positive and a very historic step in not only the politics of this country, but also in the history of women in this country? Rajeshwari.
Well, in the face of it, since we have always been, we are already in the election mode. As soon as I've heard it, and I kind of the old way it has been done. For example, the name change that I cannot get right in the first instance because I'm a South Indian. It could have been a simple women's reservation bill, perhaps in Hindi, but it's something else. So all these things immediately make me suspicious of the intentions of why the bill is being introduced. And like perhaps even the other bills that were discussed, which were supposed to be useful for women, I was also wanting to wait to see what the bill actually has in it. In fact, yes, a women reservation bill, but eventually what is it going to give you in terms of the action? Because it has been a very secretive thing, nothing has been discussed suddenly, like an anti-climax.
Right.
Was, like in the general sense, it was announced. So that was one of the main first reaction, if you ask me. What is behind it, what is the motive, and all the other things. But a pause and a little thought later, I thought, why not? I mean, at any time, women's reservation bill has always been a sole agenda. It has always been promised by all the parties in their poll agendas, in their poll manifestos.
But they did it.
It has been.
But all said and done, I mean, it was presented many times, Rajeshwari, but this government somehow, look at it, I mean, almost 10, 12 times there was toing and froing. But at least this government, like Kasturi Shankar was saying, they walked the talk. I mean, at least there is something to go by, and there is some, of course, I mean, you are free to, like you said, that why right now. It's a very good question, and maybe, as we study this bill more and more, and as more and more voices come forward, maybe we can figure, like you say, the real intent. Roja, I want to ask you, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Rajeshwari. Roja, I want to ask you that, what about quota within quota, like there are seats where women fight only women. What are your thoughts about that?
No, firstly, I'm a little upset that these OBCs have not been included.
Yeah,
because,
what Nitish
that
said,
would
yes.
be keeping
Yeah.
a lot of Muslim women out of
Yes.
this, which is very unfortunate. But women within women, I think, is still a good game, like the last speaker spoke. So it just betters. And in politics, it is a different game. It's not like being a scientist in ISRO or being a journalist. You need money power and you need lobby power, which women don't have for many generations for various reasons. Okay, because they've been marginalized for so long and they're just coming out now. So one woman pitched against another woman is still a good deal, but then the power behind her will determine initially who's going to be the winner, which is still okay. Like the last speaker said, if you do good work, you can always get elected even against a man in the next election.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take any negative points in this bill because I'm very much for it and I'm happy that women have got a chance at last, and I'm not complaining on any accord. If there are any problems, I'm willing to face it and fight it.
What I love is that you said it's not like journalists, this requires a lot of money. I mean, spoke the truth. Kalyani ma'am, I want to ask you, Nitish Babu was very, very like what Roja has just said, and I am quoting him. He said, this bill provides for reservation to women belonging to SCs and STs. I am of the opinion that women belonging to OBC should also get a fair deal. Do you think keeping OBC women out, because it's a different ball game altogether, you know, OBC women, OBC as a category as against SC, ST. Do you think keeping the OBC women out of this ambit and also Muslim women is something that the government should have considered?
Well, they could have provided for both OBC and the Muslims also. But then after all, there is only 33%, of which how many shares can you make it? So that is one reason probably. And the second thing is that Supreme Court has said that more than 50% you cannot have reservation. So because of that also there could be a problem. And I think that every caste now, it's become a caste politics also. Everybody will demand their share in their reservation, and that is how it's going to become more difficult for the government to handle it also. And earlier you were asking about one question about, you know, what I suggest is that we have at least 5-6 women party presidents. At one point of there were 6 or 7 actually. Now you have Sonia Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, then Mehbooba Mufti, and yeah, only that many. But then they should also try to, you know, help women by giving them tickets at the time of distribution of tickets, and they always have been denied ticket because of the winnability. As one of the panelists was just saying just now, that you need money power, muscle power, you need other propaganda thing, you need good oratory, you need good looks, you need so many things for a woman to come up. So she has to combine all these things, and it's going to be very, very difficult unless you have a godfather also. So all these things put together, it makes a difficult thing for the woman. Don't think that I'm trying to be pessimistic, but there are the problems. These are the problems which have been facing women all these years. So Panchayat, the president is
the godfather bit should change, whether it's cinema or whether it's journalism or whether it's politics. I mean, it's time.
Politics also is there, no?
Yeah, right. Kasturi, I want to ask you this, that, you know, OBCs, you know, there is, after the caste consensus is over, I mean, a lot of parties want caste census. Don't you think that the OBC representation, so far as women are concerned, should be according to the OBC population? Don't you think it's extremely unfair to keep them out of the ambit? I know there are certain ceilings, but still.
Yeah, I don't actually. This is one question where I'm going to completely and vehemently disagree with your sentiment, at least. The OBC population of India is nearly 50% of the country, and according to the last census, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes make up around 30%. So to have a reserve constitution, and we really cannot compare the status of somebody from a scheduled tribe with somebody from a dominant caste that enjoys OBC status because they are a dominant caste and are an important political lobby and have lobbied for their backward status. This has happened in many states, including Tamil Nadu. It has happened in many states and it keeps happening. So what in democracy, to link anything with population is a bad idea because that incentivizes population growth in that segment. That's a very bad idea. We cannot afford that in India, number one. And number two, it's going to skew the favor. To go and say this region, this constituency has one community, so we are going to field one community candidate. We are seeing that kind of caste politics already for the past 75 years. We need to get out of that rut. So to try and bring the caste angle in this, it's different with SCs, STs, and Anglo-Indians. It's very different. And I think that's a very, very well thought out gesture.
Right.
I do not think dominant populations should be given reservation at all, because that's just going to continue and perpetuate the rut we are in right now, caste-based. We need to get rid of that mindset.
Rajeshwari, I have just 1 minute left and I'm going to give it to you. tell me something, that do you think that the politics around the Women's Reservation Bill is going to increase as we go along? Do you think that there is going to be a lot of slugfest, lot of tu meh that we are going to witness?
Well, basically, I don't think many people will be. Can you hear me, Sudha?
I can. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't think there will be much, especially much resistance, because many parties, including the Congress, had fielded it at one time. If there is a problem, it will be exactly about this, not including the OBCs, which is actually, I agree with you, injustice, because if the caste system has to go, it has to go from everywhere. That's we are a long way away from that kind of a situation. It has to be an overhaul. I mean, it's another subject altogether. So that is definitely one thing that would cause a lot of debate. Apart from that, I feel that some of the parties who have already been feeling this will, let's say Mayawati, for example, have agreed that she will vote for it. So I think there will be many people who will be voting for it, and hopefully, as I was just saying to you, that I agree with you that despite all the doubts and controversies, this is a great step ahead. Maybe we can fight for things that have not happened. I totally, maybe that is a good step ahead. And once we have the reservation bill, once we have 33% women, the rest of the things can come one after the other. We can fight for them with more strength.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, all of you, women of the world. Rise, arise, like they say. Thank you very much for joining us on this debate. Indeed, a historic day. Thanks are due to Kalyani ma'am. Thank you so much. Kasturi Shankar, it was such a pleasure. Roja, thank you very much. And also Rajeshwari Kalyanam. Thank you indeed.